Hey guys, we've got another build overview to go over. Another friend in Discord here, and we're going to go over a little bit of everything. I had a little quick peek. The first thing that I saw kind of looked a little bit funny was this warrior. Got weird down-leveled attributes for and rarity, but on top of it, it's got 4 skills, which is very strange. I know the website only shows up to 3 sockets, so this is probably a 4 or 5 socket item, but it's still very strange having 4 attributes on here. I'm going to assume you have 2, but why would you have one with +5 max mana and +10 spirit? It just doesn't make sense. But anyways, onto the skills. First with Tempest Flurry, love Primal Armament. It's probably the best thing on Tempest Flurry. There's a little bit of a multiplier on it, but it allows you to freeze more often, shock more often, get ignites if you have a little bit of fire damage on. Uh, okay, that's something we'll have to talk about. But Martial Tempo, you got nice attack speed. Rage is fantastic. Lightning Mastery, I do not like. It does not do enough in Tempest Flurry, not at all. It raises the mana cost for almost no gain, and it's just you got Avatar. It's better on Avatar. But Inspiration, fantastic. Uh, but you do have Elemental Invocation, also with Inspiration. I'm assuming you just put this on for bossing, hence why it's also got Inspiration. You just swap it around. I would definitely say drop Lightning Mastery. Inspiration is really good on there if you need the mana for sure. Drop Lightning Mastery for a variety of things. I see that you got Minion Pack on Quarterstaff Strike, so that must. Yeah, you're doing the Lingering Illusion tech. Minion Pact is way better on Quarterstaff than on the auto attack if you're okay with pressing one more button and weaving that in there. Uh, this I wish I knew about earlier. This is great, great, great tech. Good find. I'm glad you saw that. It took me a little too long to realize it. So good on you for that. But since you're not using Minion Pact and you really shouldn't have Lightning Mastery, I like. Do you have it? Yeah, you got Lightning Infusion on Charged Staff. I feel like that's the best place for it because Charged Staff doesn't do much other than the lightning damage. I mean, it does scale the others, but it scales the lightning the hardest. So for Tempest Flurry, you'd probably be better off with something like Overcharge or well, you didn't have Immolate on the thing there, so like maybe Leverage. Leverage would be really good because you're going to be immobilizing a lot, especially with Electrocute if you have it, if not with the freezes. I saw you had Wind Wave, so potentially if you have Pin on there, this could be really, really, really good for you. Leverage is pretty good, and it's like 5.5% crit chance for basically nothing. Uh, on the rest of this, you don't need Wind Wave. I saw you had the much better version with Wind Dance. Uh, Coursing Currents, unfortunately, is not important at all. But for the rest of this, I think you got some pretty good stuff in there. We'll have to go through the rest of your skills to see what's potentially the best. But I'm thinking for you, it would be Overcharge or something like Blind or maybe yeah, probably like Leverage. They're all very good options, all better than a simple +2 to or +1 to level, unfortunately. So I saw you had Perpetual Charge, Lightning Exposure, Lightning Infusion, Neural Overload, but no Electrocute. And no Electrocute really anywhere. Yeah, if you're going to have Neural Overload, there's no point in having it without Electrocute. So straight up, you shouldn't have Lightning Exposure because Exposure just lowers resistances, and well, you're going to be ignoring resistances because of Sunder my enemies. So it's just not doing nearly enough for you. And so I'd say drop Lightning Exposure. Definitely put on Electrocute to make use of Neural Overload. It will sometimes get in the way of making the ice explosions, but I mean, I saw the rings just now. You're going to need to work on those, but once you get that fixed up, your ice explosions will feel really, really good. Just right now, they have a bit to go, so definitely fix Lightning Mastery on Tempest Flurry. Just put it on Avatar and Charge Staff, take off Lightning Exposure, put on Electrocute, and you're not even going to need to worry about the 6th slot. If you get the 6th slot, maybe like Culling Strike is kind of nice. Maybe, uh, I don't know. There's a lot of odd options for charge staff, but they're all a little bit weird. Culling Strike seems to be the one that just kind of slots in the easiest because there's just not a lot of passives for it right now. But all right, for Rising or the Tempest Bell here, I see you got Rage Forged, Overabundance. Unfortunately, Overabundance isn't good for you because you got Elemental Invocation. You immediately pop the bell. The Overabundance tech is amazing, like so unbelievably good in the early game, but it falls off in late game when you can pop it in an instant like that. And so all you're getting is 50% less bell duration, which also doesn't really matter much. Close combat, fantastic. Concentrated effect, fantastic. Number one thing I would say is drop overabundance for uh, for Rising Tempest. Like if you're going to use Elemental Invocation, you're going to instantly charge that 36% more multiplier, and it's going to do a lot for you. There's not really a reason to run Elemental Invocation if you're not going to be running Rising Tempest. Now, you also have Avatar, which is like a double way to charge it. So yeah, you should really be rocking that. And also maybe check to see if you're generating enough rage to get the benefit of, excuse me, benefit out of Rage Forged. If you just have this one, you won't get it on the first spell generally, unless it's right after a fight. But if you have a single jewel in here, or if you're dropping more than one bell for a boss, then it's super worth it, like unbelievably worth it. Rage Forge is amazing if you have the rage for it. It's just I've found that it can be a little bit inconsistent. Uh, Wind Dancer now with Maim, love it. Blind, love it. Unbreakable, I think this is probably the best thing to put on Wind Dancer. Unbreakable, if it works like the charms, is probably best in slot for Wind Dancer. I love this. Good job on finding that. Ingenuity on Blink, beautiful. Herald of Ice with Innervate, Long Shot, Conduction, and Magnified Effect. Love it. Herald of Ice with Thunder with Ambush, Cold Infusion, Ice Bite, and Glaciation. No problem with that at all. That's amazing. As long as you have enough cold damage, that should be making lots of cascading cold explosions. Grim Feast, great skill. Lingering Illusion with Persistence Perfusion, fantastic. Again, you got Minion Strike or Minion Pact on the Quarterstaff Strike. I wish I saw this earlier. This is beautiful tech. Good find. Unbound Avatar, you have Fire Mastery in here. You're not using Cold Mastery, you should, and you should probably take out the Lightning Mastery for Unbound Avatar as well. It's not going to add much, but it's like a 0.1 second increase every time, so it's not much, but at least you're getting something for it, and it costs you nothing. Hand of Chayula, you get Voltaic Mark, Conductivity, Freezing Mark, and Heightened Curse. It's all good except for you're only ever going to be able to apply one mark. The thing about marks is that they are limited one per target. If it'll let me click on it to show you, it won't let me click on it. That is weird. Well, whatever. I guess it just cleared it. Anyways, nah, it won't let me. Apologies. But yeah, they're limited one per target, and so if you had Voltaic Mark and uh, whatever the cold mark freezing mark is, it would apply the first one and then it would apply the second one, which would overwrite the first one because it's on hand to Chayula, it's trying to cast it all. You'd only ever have gotten freezing mark the way you have it set up there, so you'd have conductivity, heightened curse, freezing mark, like not the worst, but one of your marks were completely useless as well, so you might as well swap that out for something like Hex Bloom so that when you kill one thing with conductivity it spreads. It's kind of a nice tech, but also not really needed. There's also like you got the concentrated effect one, there's the increased duration one if I'm remembering right. Like they're all options. Elemental Invocation with Eye of Winter is good. I'm not the biggest fan of Sniper's Mark on it, especially because you can only have one mark and you're trying to run three. They would all proc pretty quickly, but yeah, I feel like you're just fighting yourself with all these marks, that's for sure. Sniper's Mark's an extra mana cost. Deceleration is great with Eye of Winter, as is Inspiration, but like we said earlier, you got Inspiration twice, so got to figure out what that's about. But for the most part, it looks like this is your bossing setup. I'd drop ice, drop one mark. Drop either Sniper's Mark, Voltaic Mark, or Cold Mark. Drop two of them, keep one. If you're going to use Hand of Chayula, put it in there. You don't need an Elemental Invocation. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 skills. So yeah, you got two skills that you're swapping out, probably Hand of Chayula and Elemental Invocation for the Herald Strength boss fight, so that makes sense. Probably, if you're going to show that, probably do Mana Remnants for Grim Feast for boss fights as well. It helps a lot for mana. Like it's crits on shock targets give the Mana Remnant, which is like a couple hundred, and it's a big boost. It'll help you a lot. Now onto your weapon or your gear. Your weapon is pretty dang good. Can't complain about that. I personally would hate having this with no quality, but you probably got it on the cheap. That's just my OCD talking though. You got a really nice rolled Hands of Wisdom in action. They're not corrupted yet, and I know I would be afraid to corrupt ones that nice, but they can potentially be game changing with the corrupt. So if you could get that 1 to 12 lightning damage or even 1 to 10, it's really nice. If you could get that 4% attack speed for 25 dex, that's really nice. You could up your attributes. You could also get an implicit. But also you could make it worse or do nothing at all. So it's up to you if you have enough currency to be able to make that risk. I will not tell you to corrupt it right now. Only do it when you are able to afford if it goes badly and be comfortable with it. But like obviously you have ingenuity. It looks like it's not corrupted, which is really nice because you got a bit of a mid roll, which is definitely not bad. 65 is well worth using. But when you have a spare couple divines, say if you got about 10 divines saved up, be willing to put a few of them into the belt to try and get it to about like 70 or above to catch whatever your breakpoints are, because hitting one or two more breakpoints will add a lot to your build. It's crazy how hard it scales. Your boots are surprisingly low energy shield. They got really nice resistances and good intelligence, so they probably won't be changed out soon, but this will hurt your overall survivability, just having a little bit lower energy shield because the bases are really important. But this is quite nice. It's going to stick with you for a while. 35% move speed, I'm jealous about that. With really good res and good int, like this will stick with you for a while. It's a nice pair of boots. It's just a shame that mana wasn't more energy shield, but no, that's good there. I can't comment on the Warrior. This will probably be getting you killed quite a bit because you don't have the defenses to survive. If you're going to run Warrior, I'd say it's not even worth it to run Tempest Flurry. You should probably go Stormwave, so that way you get the extra range to be safe. I know the only times I was able to feel even remotely safe in maps with Warrior was with Stormwave, but that also absolutely guts your ability to do tier 16 to tier 18 bosses. So it's kind of hard to completely suggest that, and you can't even charge the bell with Stormwave, so it's kind of rough. It's not the best recommendation, but this is like a bossing chest. It's got the big rarity on it, I know. It's great for breaches, but it's not the greatest for mapping. It'll get you killed a lot. Now this ring, that is a lot of attributes. That's big dex, big int, pretty nice fire. It's got rarity, really good mapping ring. The big fizz probably helps a lot too for headset turned off. Uh, and this other ring is very nice. Like that is probably doing wonders for you. That's a pretty great bossing ring. It's a shame the lightning damage to attacks is really low. Like the all attributes super good. The 32 int, what's that? So plus you're probably like a 20 what 24? No, it'd be 12 on 24. So you're probably like a 21 or so. Yeah, you'd be 21, I believe. Uh, and so the int could have been a lot higher. Your attributes, all attributes roll, which is probably the most important one, is really nice. Looks like, yeah, that's all three resistances. So that's balancing your resistances nice, but you don't have a source of flat cold damage on your rings, which is really going to hurt how consistent your Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice procs are going to be. You're going to need really high damage to be able to get them to go off at all, really. And that's unfortunate. Yeah, I'd suggest getting. Hmm. You're probably going to want to keep this one because that's your mapping ring. This one here, the max mana is nice for making sure you don't run out because the higher your mana pool, the better your base regen is essentially. That max life and that 1 to 12 lightning unfortunately isn't doing that much. It's basically the same as getting 10 int. It's, yeah. It's unfortunate. It's actually doing less than 10 int because then you'd get all that extra area of effect. But yeah, if you could probably swap, I don't even know. You'd have to. I'm thinking this is the one to swap first. It's got essentially two mods that aren't doing as much for you, whereas this one still has a nice chunk of mana. The rarity is going to be nice just for mapping. Uh, this one just has all usable stats. This one here's got like four usable stats essentially, trying to use the mana and lightning into basically one. This is the one you need to swap first. Try to get something with flat cold. You might need to spend like 2 or 3 div to get something decent, but probably only one honestly. Just get something with nice attributes and res just like this one, and then any bit of flat cold, even if it's like 8 to 14 or something cold damage, it will massively increase how good your Herald procs feel. And it'll also massively increase the damage you do against bosses, and doubly good points if you can get cold and fire, because then you could ignite the bell and you could freeze the bell, and that will also massively increase the bell damage. Because yeah, right now you got no cold and no fire damage to add to the bell, which is essential. Now for your amulet, it's pretty nice. That 40% increased max energy shield is super good. You got a huge attributes. It's a shame that you don't have a second attribute on there to really make use of that quality. But you got great resistances. 24 to all attributes is fantastic. The 40% maximum energy shield is monstrous. And then overwhelming strike is super nice for getting your crit up if you don't have it through gems or through the tree. And this helmet is quite nice. You could definitely get higher energy shield. The corrupt unfortunately isn't the best, but you got great suffixes, like those resistances are gorgeous. The 33 int is fantastic. Like honestly, this helmet is pretty good. You don't need to worry about this too soon. I think the thing that's hurting you the most, as nice as this ring is, it's just not quite doing enough with ingenuity. And the Warrior is probably going to get you killed more often than not. And for the rest of it, it looks good. I like the setup that you got. I like these boots a lot. It's obviously got an open slot here, so if you need something, slot it in. If this had flat on the boots, putting in a iron rune would help a lot, but because it doesn't have flat on it, it doesn't have much to scale. So yeah, your gear is mostly good. Your gems have, or your skills have a little bit of work to do, but let us go check out the passive tree now. So obviously, I like the way your ascendancies are. You're running Avatar, which is a fantastic skill. So again, if you're going to do this, you should always have Rising Tempest on your bell. You got the crit chance, more crit chance coming over here. You're probably just a few levels down. Based on how everything is looking, I don't see anything wrong up top here. I'm definitely not a fan of Eternal Youth. Let's see here. You're running Warrior, which you're not grabbing these crit nodes, and you're running Warrior, so all of these nodes here are not doing much for you at all. That's kind of like a glass cannon build with that chest piece, unfortunately, so you'd be better off just axing this line right here, staying in here to try and give you something to work with, drop Eternal Youth, because I just don't like that node at all, unfortunately. I know it gives you the life flask to be able to help heal your energy shield when you're low, and you're going to have a low energy shield, so it's going to do more work for you at the low energy shield, but you're going to try and get around that first. And like, unfortunately, just because you don't have any energy shield to work with right now with low base on the boots, you got a nice helmet, but then a really low base on the chest piece. Even this desperation node to get you more energy shield isn't going to do much. I'd say either invest in a full energy shield base to keep this and spec into here to make it extra worth it. And then if you are overcapped on crit, you could like drop these or drop these if you need the extra points. Uh, and if you don't want to and you want to keep Eternal Youth, drop this and get a split base or a full evasion base, and then it would fit better with what you got. If you go full evasion base, it would still be better to get patient barrier, but Yeah, you got all these evasion nodes here. You got evasion from your body armor, evasion from escape velocity. You got this energy shield evasion and max energy shield by evasion. But the only bit of evasion that you have is this 512 from Warrior. This is just a lot of wasted points, unfortunately. Yeah, you're gonna want to drop. You're definitely gonna want to drop this. You're gonna want to drop this. Uh, you're gonna Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of good defensive options with Warrior, but you got this, you got this. Definitely come up here, grab these two nodes. They do a lot for you. They're pretty nice. Uh, let's see how before I go too far, because I only took off those 2 points and added them there. That's going to add a lot for you because this is doing nothing. Uh, yeah, that's all I can really do for points and adding right now because this is all really good in here. What is this doing? 4% increase int and damages extra fire? That's beautiful. Okay, so if you have such a nice against the darkness, uh, you're doing it in this cluster. If you were to do it here instead, you could anoint spaghettification, but because you have it down here, uh, it would be worth it to come here 1, 2, 3, 4 points to get the damages extra fire and int. Okay, so you got this is how you're getting fire damage. I get you. And then also get this one here to get the extra int and extra fire. The blind isn't really good node, but the attributes and the fire damage is, so that's where you get it from. Like, let's put it for example here. A lot of people spend 2 points just to get 5% as extra lightning or 5% as extra cold with a little bit of build up. You're getting that with stacking attribute. It's worth it by itself. And then here as well, you get it with a bunch of attack speed and chance to blind. And since you seem to be wanting to go evasion based because you have Wind Dancer, uh, it's definitely the way to go. So with what you're getting, I'd say drop Warrior for everything other than bosses if you wanted to keep it this way. Oh, that's level 123. And if you're going the evasion base, unallocate all of this so that you can get your 30% increase here. Keep up here with these guys, and you got a nice tree here. I didn't check your level before, but definitely in here getting these when you can, because that's going to stack crazy good with your Against the Darkness here. Like, I'm jealous of that. Good job. Good on you. And then probably with your last points, you're going to want to go full defensive if you have enough crit chance. If you don't, like honestly, you might even be worth it dropping these if you can avoid the crit chance. Or if you don't need the crit chance. If you need the move speed, come down like there for the little more evasion energy shield. Come here for the movement speed, dex int, really nice node for you. You can come get these if you wanted them for more evasion energy shield. You could stack all of this for evasion energy shield. It's just unfortunate the warrior chest is hard to work around because it does nothing defensively in your melee class. So that really should be your bossing only thing, but I can't assume that unless, yeah, you don't have anything else on there. So yeah, just be ready to watch that out. I think this will do a lot more for you by putting points into here for taking advantage of the int and fire damage. And yeah, I think you'll like that feel a lot. I hate having to say drop all this because these are such good notes, but you just, and with that 6% increase int is so nice, but you're getting two things of 4% increased int by dropping it. And yeah, I think this will do a lot better for you. Drop this if you can, but yeah, based on how everything's rocking, you got some really good gear, you got some good rolls, you got a good head on your shoulders. You just need, like, finding that minion tech right here was fantastic. Just swap out Lightning Mastery from Tempest Flurry, put in uh, Electrocute for lightning exposure, and take out probably Overabundance because you're popping this instantly. Definitely need Rising Tempest. Wind Dancer looks really good, but you don't have enough evasion to use it right now, unfortunately. Blink is good, Herald of Ice is good, Herald of Thunder is good, Grim Feast good, Lingering Illusion good, quarterstaff, genius, unbound avatar, add the other level skills, hand to Chayula, drop that extra mark you had, elemental invocation, drop the extra mark. Probably put in ricochet or chain to go with this to replace sniper's mark. Try to find better body armor, try to replace this ring. Like, you got such good stuff. This is a great maximum energy shield amulet. So the fact that you went energy shield here with this amulet, you should either go full ES base or split base, or evasion base is fine too if you're going this way. Like, it's fine. They're all great options. You'll get the most out of a full ES or split ES, but these are good options too. So that's what I have to. Those are my comments. I hope it helps a lot. I really hope this increases how much you're enjoying the game. I guess before I should let go, I should look at your jewels. I like that one. Big energy shield, crit damage, maximum energy stun threshold. What was the corrupt? Oh, that's. I don't think it shows what the corrupts do. Wait, yes it does. It shows it on mine. Yeah. So none of these corrupts have attributes, unfortunately. Like, this is a very nice jewel, obviously. You don't need meta skills, gain extra energy. Unfortunately, that's kind of a negative with this build. Yeah, it just charges so fast against bosses. It's not a bad thing. The crit chance and max energy shield are huge. Those are the best things pretty much to look for the jewels, but you also really need the energy shield corrupts. Yeah, none of these have energy shield corrupts. It's a really big deal to get it. It's a nice controlled metamorphosis. That's also, they're surprisingly cheap now. They're about a div for that. Sometimes you can get them cheaper, so it's worth corrupting them to check. Again, this is quite nice, but it's got some dead mods. Like, all of them have some dead mods. Like, elemental damage is, as weird as it sounds, not that useful because of how much damage you get from attributes. So if it had just max energy shield and energy shield is stun threshold, but it had a corrupt, it's already better than this. So that's unfortunate. Like a attribute corrupt, I should say. This thing here, chance to inflict ailments, is not needed, but also nice. So it's definitely not a bad stat. It'll help you get freezes off on bosses and the like. So, well, I guess electrocutes for your case whenever you put it on. But this is probably your best jewel, but again, still no attributes, so it's a big downgrade. But this is also giving you huge attributes. So there's a lot of room to upgrade. Uh, Basically, all your jewels, except for your Against the Darkness, can be upgraded. This ring especially, your chest especially, because even looking at it, it's only 4% attributes and 9% rarity. So I'm assuming that's what you got. That's about as bad of a warrior as you can get. Your skills, already commented on it, so I hope all of that together will help you lots and make your character much, much better. Anyways, thanks for submitting your build, and see you guys later.